Specifically the one that is seen in the individual in the black and white jacket.
Correct.
New footage just surfaced, flipping the entire YNW Melly situation upside down. What unfolded that night ain't as straight as everyone thought before the murders that shocked the world. Melly and Bortlen got caught on cam, and the street saying this clip changes everything, breaking down the proof that got Melly's name burning. Let me walk you through why prosecutors believe they locked YNW Melly's fate. After Bortlen's plea deal had the hood whispering, people started digging deep into what the state been holding back. And bro, when you line this up, you'll see why Melly's lawyer's been moving like it's do or die. Feds pulled out 7 main pieces of proof meant to show Melly dropped his own brothers. Every detail built to crush that drive-by tale and pin him right there in that backseat with the burner in his hand. The biggest piece might be the studio surveillance footage. Cameras caught Melly, Bortlen, Sackchaser, and Juvie together around 4:09 a.m. on October 26, 2018. But it ain't just them riding out together. It's where Melly posted up that got the state excited. In court, the victim's mother had to watch that brutal clip and point out her baby.
Did you recognize the individual that got into the back seat on the left side, the rear driver's side?
Yes.
And who was that individual?
Jamel.
And Jamel, is that the defendant, Jamel Demons?
Yes, ma'am.
That clip shows Melly sliding into the left back seat, the exact same spot where ballistic teams say them fatal rounds came from. This one video straight crushed the defense's version that Melly wasn't even inside when his boys got hit. That tape had his legal squad looking tense and cornered. The forensic details telling a story the feds claim can't be twisted. Detectives couldn't find a single clue showing bullets came from outside the car. No impacts on the passenger door where a real drive-by would have torn metal. Even worse for Melly's side, the driver's window shattered outward, not inward. That means those shots came from inside. Crime scene reconstruction pro Sergeant Christopher Williams dropped some damaging words during that first run of the trial.
My determination was that this is not a drive-by shooting. Shooter's at a stationary position when all but one of these rounds are going in.
They found 8 shell casings in that vehicle from 2 separate guns, a .40 cal and a .45. The bullet paths showed all fatal hits came from where Melly was sitting, not from random shooters outside the ride. The wound timing made it all worse. Williams explained how investigators knew both victims were already dead when that fake drive-by scene got staged.
There was enough time for the heart to stop beating, for there to be no circulation. Due to the wounds that I examined from the medical examiner's office, none of the wounds have any blood in them, which tells me that they're all ante-mortem wounds.
The proof showed Sackchaser and Juvie were already lifeless when they staged those fake outside shots. That's cold, strategic street behavior right there. Melly's DNA was all over that left rear door handle of the Jeep, confirming he was sitting right in that shooter's zone. The defense tried claiming it only proved he'd been there earlier. But when you mix that with the camera footage, it forms a picture the prosecutors love. The wildest twist though, no gunshot residue on Melly's hands, which the defense keeps using as proof he ain't fire. But prosecutors argue that means nothing, especially with hours passing before testing. The digital data is where it gets incriminating. Melly's phone pinged right near the hit scene, putting him exactly where he swore he wasn't. Detective Mark Moretti laid out those phone signal pings.
This is the actual crime scene on US 27 Pembroke Road.
And approximately where along Pembroke Road on this map were those casings discovered?
But that digital trail gets even darker for the young star. There was an Instagram DM where Melly supposedly typed, "Sure, I did that," after someone asked about the murders. If that's legit, that's basically a confession straight through social media. One of the craziest parts of this entire case comes down to the missing guns. During Detective Polo's testimony, they dropped suspicious details about the evidence that just vanished.
Specifically the one that is seen in the individual in the black and white jacket.
Correct.
Did Mr. Henry have possession of either of those satchels or man purses at the hospital?
No, ma'am.
That studio footage captures both Melly and Bortlen holding bags when they roll out with the victims. But when Bortlen showed up at the hospital with those bodies, the bags had straight vanished. Legal analysts believe those bags held the murder straps, which ain't never been found. That's some calculated crime-type cleanup right there. Prosecutors pushed to show why Melly would allegedly off his own crew. Gang specialist Danny Polo testified that Melly was linked to the G-Shine Bloods, and that taking out Sackchaser and Juvie could have helped him stack cash and climb in rank. Texts between the group revealed serious tension before the killings. Sackchaser was tight over Melly getting all the glory while he felt he was carrying the weight behind the curtain. Money and pride, the two forces that destroyed more brotherhoods than bullets ever did. Those texts heated up fast when Sackchaser started clashing with Melly's mom over business. In the hood, once somebody comes for your family, that's when things turn deadly with no warning. The prosecution's main storyline claims that after Melly allegedly blasted his crew inside the Jeep, he and Bortlen slid to another block and dumped shots into the ride to fake a drive-by. But the forensic science tore that cover story apart. Blood spray and bullet paths didn't line up with how real drive-by hits play out. And there weren't even bullet marks on the right side where outside fire would usually strike. The way both dudes acted at the hospital raised crazy alarms. Security video caught Bortlen changing his clothes like he was ditching proof. Hospital workers said Bortlen acted lost and kept switching his version of what happened. Even wilder, Melly never even showed up, despite claiming loyalty to the dead homies. If your own brothers got hit, wouldn't you be at that hospital losing your mind? The most heated part of the state's case comes from using Melly's own lyrics. They tried to submit bars from Murder on My Mind and other tracks as evidence of intent. They first tried to include over 100 songs, but whether those lyrics stick as evidence still sits in appeals court. There's also a promo clip prosecutors want admitted, though that's still being appealed too. The big debate, can art be used as evidence, still got court spinning. Even with all this proof, Melly's lawyers keep shouting that the state's case is built on wrong assumptions and messy police work. They keep highlighting the missing GSR on Melly, them lost weapons, and misconduct claims during the probe. The defense pointed out how Detective Moretti confessed to scaring witnesses with jail and deportation threats, which makes testimony shaky. But here's the real blow. Bortlen's plea now admits the murders happened in that Jeep and that he helped fake it. That move made the defense's climb steeper. They can't keep claiming it was a real drive-by. They can't say no murders happened at all. Now their mission is proving Melly ain't the one who squeezed the trigger. A brutal fight when the evidence already stacks against him. The street's been begging for closure since 2018. And this stack of proof is exactly why the feds swear they caught the real shooter. But evidence is one thing. Convincing a jury past all doubt hits different when the hood's watching. And that's when the defense started plotting their last-ditch play to save his life. The defense's final gamble. As YNW Melly's retrial creeps closer, his legal team facing what you could call a pure nightmare. With Bortlen's plea sealing that the murders went down inside that whip and he helped stage it. Their whole defense game plan had to flip overnight. What followed cracked open rifts in both legal sides and showed how deep this chaos ran through the streets. From the start, Melly's defense sparked wild heat in the hip-hop scene. During the 2023 trial, attorney David Howard straight blamed Bortlen for the killings, telling jurors, those were Bortlen's lies. He lies about where it went down, he lies about how it went down, and he lies about not having that phone. This blame-shifting tactic had the street saying it looked like straight snitching on his own client's co-defendant. Social media started lighting up with takes like, man, Melly's lawyer already threw Bortlen under the bus first trial. So technically, people said both sides folded. And thinking back to Melly's lawyer's opening words where he tried painting YNW Bortlen as the shooter, folks swore no way Bortlen ain't flipping. The defense built its plan around a few heavy points that split the whole culture. Howard pointed out that Bortlen tested positive for GSR while Melly didn't. They said that alone proved Bortlen was the one who fired, not Melly. The defense only brought one witness, Melly's homie Adrian A.D. Davis, who testified that Melly was asleep at a house when the shots rang out. Davis said he heard about the murders same time Melly did, and that he was in shorts and a tee when it broke. The defense tore into cops' methods, claiming Detective Moretti was obsessed with nailing Melly cause of his fame and street rep. They stressed Moretti's own confession that he scared witnesses with jail threats and deportation, calling the whole probe dirty in the hood. But the defense drama didn't stop there. In a shocking twist, lead prosecutor Christine Bradley got kicked off the case for hiding proof from the defense. The scandal came from a cop witness accused of asking another officer to lie about being there during a raid. Legal expert Melba Pearson broke down how major that really was.
This is huge, and this is one of the biggest nightmares that any prosecutor could face, where you're getting taken off the case and now being called as a witness in said case.
The defense pulled it off, convincing the court that Bradley had to step down so she could testify about the detective who pushed others to lie. That prosecution shakeup forced new attorneys to catch up on 5 years of deep case files with barely any prep before retrial. Meanwhile, Melly's side faced its own meltdown. In August 2025, Melly fired his old lawyers while prosecutors were investigating witness tampering claims. His new legal crew, Carrie Horwath and Drew Finling, took over a case that got way more tangled after Bortlen's plea flipped the whole situation. Word on the streets was Melly blamed that switch on the prosecution's interference. But the real reason behind his legal shakeup still remains foggy to the public. With Bortlen no longer a co-defendant, the defense lost a serious edge. Attorney Bradford Cohen broke down what that loss meant in street terms.
That YNW Bortlen is not going to be a flipper, and he is not going to be the cheese eater I previously said that he could become. And he is going to give a statement. I don't know what that statement's going to be, but his attorney is an excellent attorney. He's one of my good friends and you know, really helped me out as a young attorney. Fred Haddad, a great guy. And he represented very, very few, if any, flippers in the past.
But not every legal mind shared that same confidence about what Bortlen's cooperation might lead to. Lawyer Bruce Rivers predicted that something big was about to unfold.
So theoretically, Phillips said Bortlen could now be called as a witness in Melly's upcoming trial. He could testify for Melly or against Melly. But my guess is if he's agreeing to do a proffer, he's going to snitch. I expect that to be the case, Phillips said. If they subpoena him, he can no longer take the Fifth Amendment on these issues.
Through all this courtroom chaos, the families of Anthony Williams and Christopher Thomas Jr. been sitting in pain, waiting nearly 7 years for some kind of closure. Attorney John M. Phillips, who represents Christopher Thomas's family, been juggling both criminal and civil fights in this long-running case. Phillips shared the family's thoughts about what Bortlen's plea really means for justice.
At the end of the day, Mr. Henry knows what happened. He was in the car, but he wasn't the shooter. And so finally, after all these years, for him to plead no contest, even though he was adjudicated guilty and accepted responsibility for this, in part, was favorable.
The civil suit adds a fresh layer because with Bortlen's plea deal on record, he can't plead the fifth in civil questioning. That could open doors to reveal what truly happened on October 26, 2018, deep in them streets. This case spotlighted the tension in hip-hop over loyalty, fame, and authenticity. Commentator Charleston White spoke out heavy, calling out how the culture handles moments like this.
You guys are so criminal-minded and caught up into this street culture where black people aren't even smart anymore. They think everybody dumb.
White's criticism hit the larger pattern of fans defending rappers no matter what the facts say. He argued people back stars blindly even when the evidence tells another story. After years of trials and team changes, the core fact still standing strong. That studio footage still shows Melly sliding into that shooter seat. The ballistics still don't match no drive-by. The tech evidence still has his phone right where it shouldn't be. What really shifted is the legal field around it. With Bortlen's plea confirming the murders happened inside the whip, the defense can't claim it was some random street hit no more. When your own day one folds, man, this YNW Melly case turned ugly fast. September 9th, 2025, changed the whole game in one of hip-hop's most talked-about murder trials. YNW Bortlen's plea deal had the hood in shock. And what unfolded in that Broward County courtroom left everyone stunned, even Judge Michael Usen, who looked straight baffled, saying he couldn't figure out how Bortlen's lawyers scored such a sweet setup.
Mr. Henry, I'm not quite sure how your lawyers managed to do this, but I wish you good luck, sir.
We're talking about a man who was once staring down life in prison or possibly the chair for 2 first-degree murders. But somehow, someway, Bortlen finessed his way out with just 10 years and 6 on probation. That's next-level system manipulation right there. 4 years, both Melly and Bortlen kept it tight, swearing innocence. Melly's first trial back in 2023 ended in a hung jury. 9 said not guilty, 3 said guilty. His retrial was scheduled for January 2027, giving his team space to rebuild the defense. Then September 9th hit, flipping the whole story upside down. The courtroom vibe was heavy. Only around 8 people came out for Bortlen, including Melly's mom and his little brother. No 100K track, no folks from Juvie or Sacksides. The energy in there screamed forgotten, straight deserted vibes.
So the preforms to me look like 19 case as to the 2 counts of accessory after the fact, as well as to all 4 counts in the 23 case. These are going to be adjudication, 10 years Florida State prison, followed by, let's say, 6 years probation.
The deal itself was clean but dangerous. Bortlen pled to accessory after the fact and witness tampering while prosecutors tossed the murder charges that could have buried him for life. But here's where the twist hit. The plea came with what's known as a proffer agreement, meaning the feds wanted him to sit down and share what he knew. Legal analyst Bruce Rivers broke down what that kind of deal means in street language.
So here's what happens. He goes and he testifies, or talks to the prosecutor in a proffer. His lawyer's there, the agents on the case are there, the prosecutor's there. They ask him whatever they want, right? And nothing he says can be held against him in that proffer. Nothing. And this is what they call a snitch session.
The hood instantly caught fire, wondering if Bortlen was really about to flip on his own boy. Attorney John M. Phillips, who represents one of the victims' families, said Bortlen's agreement to talk could give the state the puzzle pieces needed to nail Melly for good. But Bortlen's lawyer, Fred Haddad, wasn't letting that snitch label fly. He told reporters, "I don't represent snitches," and claimed Bortlen wasn't betraying Melly at all. He explained that the proffer was limited and wouldn't force Bortlen to testify against his former co-defendant. Confusion took over the streets. Some said it was straight betrayal. Others called it smart survival. Reporter Seti Nash, who was actually inside that courtroom catching every move, laid out the full play.
No. His attorney said no, he will not testify. The only thing that's gonna happen, based on what his attorney said, is he only got to answer a couple questions from the state, and then he got to go serve his time. And
Nash coverage revealed the cooperation was light and wouldn't instantly threaten Melly's case, a sharp contrast from early street rumors calling Bortlen a full-blown informant. The timing, though, had the hood questioning everything. There were 250 potential jurors set to pull up next morning and stacks of cash already dropped prepping the trial. For Bortlen to fold right before kickoff, it felt like either desperation or a deal too sweet to walk from. The real jaw-dropper came after the dust settled. The day after sentencing, Bortlen hopped on a jail phone and dropped a freestyle straight addressing the snitch rumors, and it had the entire internet locked in.
I look like taking the deal that hurt my... I look like giving a... How y'all feel? I'm a young fly. Be back to raising hell, prevail.
That freestyle was Bortlen's way of letting the streets know he didn't fold on his people. Even though the plea looked like betrayal to some, he made it clear this was about survival, not snitching. He basically said he did what he had to do to make it out the system alive, but he wasn't going to help send his boy to death row. Within days, they shipped Bortlen off to state prison, shaved his dreads, and processed him into his sentence. From up-and-coming rap star to state property, that's the kind of reality check that breaks a man down and rebuilds his mindset from scratch. But DJ Academic saw the whole plea from a different angle. His breakdown flipped how the hip-hop community viewed what this move really meant for Melly's case.
When pleading to an accessory to murder after the fact, you have to acknowledge that the murder happened and you assisted someone or in some way to cover the murder. Now, if Melly's statement is, how do we know there was a murder? And then secondly, how do we know who did the murder? Because they said it was a drive-by.
Academics pointed out a major detail most folks in the streets overlooked. Even without testifying, Bortlen's plea indirectly admitted the murders happened inside that Jeep, and that he helped cover it up. That single admission could blow holes in Melly's defense, which had always leaned on the drive-by story both men stuck to for years. The culture didn't know how to take it. In a world where snitching is the deadliest label you can wear, people were split. Did Bortlen break the code? Or did he just play chess with his life on the line? Then came Charleston White, never one to sugarcoat a thing, stepping in with a reality check that left the internet heated.
I hope they get his kid life. I hope he never gets out of prison. Yeah. He killed his friends.
Charleston White's take spoke for one side of the culture. The crowd that believes if you really murk your own homies, you face the music, no matter your fame, clout, or street stripes. But this plea deal didn't just shift opinions. It flipped the whole case dynamic. With Bortlen no longer a co-defendant and potentially offering limited cooperation, Melly's defense team was suddenly up against a whole new type of pressure from the state. His retrial, now pushed to January 2027, keeps stalling over appeals about what evidence can even be used. The appellate court still has to decide if prosecutors can bring in that digital trail, the texts, location data, and social media, to prove Melly's motive, gang ties, and state of mind. Every delay adds more chaos. New prosecutors have to study 5 years' worth of complex evidence and testimony. Melly's new defense team has to rebuild their whole playbook now that Bortlen switched lanes. But one thing hasn't changed: the stakes. Melly's still staring down 2 first-degree murder charges and the death penalty if convicted. And under Florida's new death penalty law, it only takes 8 jurors to send someone to the chair instead of all 12. That raised the tension to a whole new level. At this point, justice depends on where you stand. For the families of Anthony Williams and Christopher Thomas Jr., justice means seeing accountability, plain and simple. For Melly supporters, it means protecting an innocent man from execution. And for the broader community, it's about something even bigger: a fair trial that separates truth from hype, evidence from emotion, and justice from celebrity. Legal expert Sapper Robinson first summed it up best: this retrial has to be done right, because too much is already at stake.
Yeah, I think that it's important. And this is a homicide case. This is a high stakes case. You want to ensure that there is integrity in the prosecution of this case, because this family does deserve justice. And there isn't a person that deserves to be wrongfully convicted or in prison for something that they didn't do.
One thing's for sure: this case already changed every life it touched. 2 young men lost theirs on October 26, 2018. 2 families been grieving ever since. Bortlen's heading to prison for helping cover it up, and Melly's still fighting for his life, literally. Whether justice finally gets served will depend on how this retrial unfolds. New prosecutors, new defense, same haunting questions. The 2027 courtroom won't look anything like that chaotic 2023 mistrial, but the core mystery stays the same. What really happened inside that Jeep? Who pulled the trigger that ended 2 young lives? And can the system deliver real closure, not just a verdict? All eyes now turn to January 2027, when YNW Melly finally faces the music once again. Like this video, And click on the card showing on your screen for more deep breakdowns from the streets.